CRO-AM Connections, connecting with Croatian Americans through conversation and events to share our culture. Today in our show, we have two of the executive officers of the Croatian Fraternal Union of America, President Eds Pazo and Secretary-Treasurer Bernadette Luketich-Sikaras from Pittsburgh, PA.
Thank you all for joining us today. Dobro nam došli. Today we're having a conversation with two officers from the National Board of Directors from the Croatian Fraternal Union of America, Ed Pazo and Bernadette Luketich-Sikaras. Yeah, Sikaras. So I always want to put that little bit on there. So welcome, Ed and Bernadette.
Thank you, Marty.
We're really excited to be here. It's a great organization, one, but two, you have so much in this building and speaks to the volumes of work that you do here. It's just really awesome to be here and to be able to share this with our, hopefully, viewers, your viewers, everybody out there that's looking to see what's in and about the CFU and what's in the museum here as well. We're super excited to be here.
Our pleasure to have you.
So let's do some introductions. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your role with the Croatian Fraternal Union of America, and how you got involved, just a little bit of background. And Ed, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you, Marty, and once again, welcome to you and your listeners, and hopefully going to be our listeners very soon. But of course, I'm the national president at the present time of the Croatian Fraternal Union. I started off as Secretary-Treasurer under Bernadette's father, Bernard Luketich, the Mount Rushmore leading person on CFU and Croatian-Americans. So it was my pleasure and honor to become Secretary-Treasurer in 1993.
Wow.
So I've been on the executive board of the Croatian Fraternal Union since 1993. Prior to that, I was elected to the National Board of Trustees as an alternate in 1987. When you say how do you start, lifelong member of the Croatian Fraternal Union. Bernadette and I are both that way, enrolled at birth. We certainly value all of our members that come that way, but we also welcome members in later years as well, once they become more accustomed and knowledgeable about the Croatian Fraternal Union. But having been enrolled at basically birth by my next door neighbor, Ruth Zofjak, somebody that all Croatian Fraternal Union people know Ruth Zofjak so well. She's such a great person who enrolled people and was culturally inclined with different groups and so forth, and led tours that Bernard had her do. But in my own lodge in Clairton, we're set up in lodge basis, our society. Our lodge is 248 in Clairton. My father and mother were both officers of the lodge. I was going to lodge meetings at 2-3 years old, drawing, keeping busy, but learning, coming in at such a young age. I still vividly remember stories that, in my mind, of old-time Croats that would get up wearing a suit and tie to a meeting and speak about a subject in Croatian language. Of course, I didn't understand everything at that point in time, but now I do. But that's a natural matriculation through the lodge system when we had a Croatian home in Clairton, as, again, Bernadette has in Kochberg. But, that led to being involved on a national level as a delegate to our conventions. Every 4 years we have a convention. I was the youngest delegate, I believe, 2 times to conventions. Starting at age 20 was my first convention as a delegate. And her father saw something in me that he promoted me to run for a board, first the board of directors, and then when John Plesh passed away, I was already on the board of directors, and I was elected by my fellow board of directors to the position of National Secretary-Treasurer. Wow. So that led to a good, 25 years working as Secretary-Treasurer under Bernard as president. When he retired in 2014, I became the successor to him by the board through a vote. And now we've had 2 conventions since that time that I was reelected.
Yeah.
So appreciate the opportunity. Actually 3 now, 2015, 2019, and 2023. So Bernadette joined our executive board when I was promoted to her father's former position. And we've been working together as a team along with Franja Bertovic. When you mentioned we're from the national board, we're actually from a subset of the national board, which is the executive board.
Okay.
We're charged with the day-to-day operations of the society, where the national board is charged with more governance types issues and long-range planning and issues of very big importance that cost a lot of money that we're trying to put forth for the society's good and welfare. We need national board approval for that. So we have quarterly meetings where we come back to that.
Gotcha, thanks for that. And you're also the president at Clarendon, right?
Clarendon Lodge, yeah.
And that lodge number?
248. It's one of the older lodges. We celebrated our 100th anniversary back in 1903. So our society, you know, we can talk a little later about the formation and such, but I'm sure you want to hear from Bernadette.
Yeah, we want to get down to that lodge too, but go ahead, Bernadette.
There's a whole lot of the same path as Ed. You know, Croatian Fraternal Union and working for Croatians is all I've known my whole life. Obviously, my father, Bernard Luketich, was a main force in the CFU and in the United States for promoting, you know, our culture and our identity. My first big thing is, you know, I more the culture and heritage side growing up. So I started playing with our St. George Junior Tamburitsins of Lodge 354 at the age of 5. 60 years ago. It's my 60th anniversary of playing.
You didn't have to share, but that's good.
It's my pleasure. It's something to be proud of. Too bad I don't play as well as I should for 60 years. But we had a Croatian home across the street from where I grew up, and that was really our entire life. I mean, my father every weekend, and he took our family with him. We were at picnics, we were at banquets. So everything is second nature. When he got his job as treasurer here at he was on the board first, right? It was about 55.
Board of Trustees, 59 as a member, and 63 as secretary.
Wow.
So treasurer.
So he became treasurer. So it was kind of like, you know, I grew up here. You know, we would come with every once in a while. Me and my family would come here, and I'd be hiding under his desk and messing papers up. And my sister and I, we always wreaked havoc.
Sounds like John Kennedy.
It was very much like that. It was very much like that. But you know, it's just part of us. It's nothing that you could say you learned. It becomes part of your being. Just this whole situation of you know, the Croatian Fraternal Union and working for the Croatian people. And so I first went on the board. I've held positions. I was recording secretary of my lodge, which is 354 St. George in Kochberg. We're the largest lodge in the society. We have about 1,960 members in our lodge and 290 in our nest, which is we're very, very proud of for being a little small coal mining town in southwestern Pennsylvania.
We were there. It's a great.
That's right. We have a beautiful home, Croatian home, which I think is really important because a lot of our Croatian homes, as they close, you see the lodges start to die a little bit. So we have a space for our people. We have 2 Tamburitsa groups to practice there. So we're there at the club a lot. That's our second home. But I was recording secretary. I'm now president of Lodge 354, and I am also president of our United Four Counties Lodges in the 4 counties of Fayette, Greene, Washington, and Westmoreland, which are all in southwestern Pennsylvania. We have a United Lodges organization, of which Ed's president of the Board of Trustees. I'm president. Kathy Burnage, some of our folks here are run the board. But that's what we try to keep our brother and sister lodges together. So I've been president for quite some time. I can't even think back how long. And I was vice president for a while, and I joined the board at the convention that was held in London, Ontario, which was 97.
1999.
99, I got my first national post.
See, I have to remember these dates because when you start forgetting, they replace you. So
you're helping
I
each other out,
remember
right?
dates
You help
really
each other
well.
He's got a
believe
mind
me.
like, I mean, he's got a computer up there, you know. I mean, it's just amazing.
It's an engineering mind. It's
Well,
all
it is.
right, I know.
But you know, my dad was the same way. My dad was
Electrical.
just, he'll tell
I
you
know.
who's related to who and what happened when, and I mean, he had that kind of a mind for this. And me, I have to, you know, always look to Ed to
That's all
check
right.
my ears. So
Historian.
I it was my first time on the board of directors, the national board of directors, and then I became second vice president, and then I came back down to board of directors, and then in 2014, I was president of the board when my father retired. Ed moved up, we placed him, and then I was lucky enough to be. They had confidence in me enough to serve as secretary treasurer.
Nice, yeah.
My background is not in finance. I have a master's degree in industrial relations. My undergrad was economics and psychology, and I worked as a director of human resources in manufacturing and in blood banks, and so that was kind of my background. But I came into the position. It's very hard for someone who's never been here to walk into the position. We have a very competent controller, assistant controller. Our finance staff here is bar none the best. And so it was like a fish to water. Now I've been here 10 years.
I don't know. That's a good. You got econ in there. You have psych. You have HR. I mean, that's a pretty good package.
I definitely take care of the HR things here. I mean, that was at least I came with that. And we are running a business, so that.
Let me clarify a few things though, because it sounds like there's no when there's openings in our society, we have a really full and open way of advertising in our
we do.
newspapers, on
We do.
HR. We solicit candidates that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
When I became Secretary Treasurer, 30 people applied for the
Wow.
position,
Yeah.
and it was winnowed down to me basically upon a vote by the Board of Directors. That was back in 1993. When Bernard resigned and retired, rather is a better word, after 55 years as a national officer of the Croatian Fraternal Union, it was more of a natural progression. Since I was his secretary for basically 25 years, the board really, they may have had some ideas, but no one ever voiced anything. It was still advertised, but I don't believe anyone even...
No, we did. We got like 2 applications, but they were clearly...
One of the guys was actually somebody who sued us about 30 years before that, and he applied to be president of the Croatian Fraternal Union. He thinks no one remembers, I guess. That was the strangest thing in the world to see that. But you're right, there was about 3 or 4 people that did apply.
He was running the negative campaign to see if...
Even before he knew he was going to run. But actually, I didn't mention my academics, but I'm a graduate of the University of Pittsburgh. I have an electrical engineering degree from them, from that university.
Yeah.
Worked for Westinghouse 7.5 years.
Yeah.
And when a manager would always say, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I said, 10 years. I said, not here. Not sitting behind a desk on a computer worrying about, loops and ladders and control systems. But anyway, I was fortunate enough to go, and Westinghouse paid for a master's degree, and there's where I was able to do an MBA in business with a concentration in finance, always thinking it would help down the line. And lo and behold, CFU is a $500 million organization, so it does help to have a little bit of a finance background, even if it is academically earned.
You guys know what you're doing, and you have the experience. But Pitt, right? Both
University
Pitt.
of Pittsburgh.
I'm W&J. I got my undergrad in Washington Jefferson College, which is a college here in southwestern Pennsylvania. And I got my master's when I was working for the Bendix Corporation in Detroit. So I like Ed, I took advantage of the tuition reimbursement program right out of the gate. And then I got my master's in industrial relations because my goal was to work for labor unions. It was something I grew up with my dad. We were with UMW and the United Mine Workers, so that's where I always saw myself. This is where I saw myself, but that path didn't make it. And then it ended up into human resources, and so it was an interesting path here. However, this was always at the end of the at the end of the road, and it's been very gratifying, satisfying. I mean, we come to work every day. I come to work. Work is work. But here it's so different. You come into this building that's just like a museum and an art gallery. It's the most beautiful place you could imagine.
Yeah.
It's the oddest place. You've got tour groups coming through. You have people.
Right.
It's not like your normal workspace.
Yeah.
It's alive. It's vibrant. We have groups come through here. We have, you know, and then the best part is you get to work in the morning and you see homemade noodles on your desk because Franjo's wife cooked the day before. And like I've got, where do you go? Where you come in and you've got like homemade noodles on your desk. So it's very you know, our upbringing. Our camaraderie is great. We have the whole Croatian theme and background through everything, and it's just it's the best.
Yeah.
I can't
No
say-
2 days are ever alike here either.
Yeah.
You can plan a day a certain way, and when you walk through the door, somebody calls, and now you're off, not down a rabbit hole, but working on a different project than you even intended.
Yeah.
You know, that's the reason our hours are very much a variability of when you get here, you do what you need to do. If something changes, you still need to have something done. So you end up working until the maintenance guy in the evening asks if you're staying, should he shut the lights off or not?
Yeah.
And that happens multiple times throughout the month where we're closing the doors behind us as we leave.
And I think what people don't realize is, you know, we're running the business. It's a $500 million business.
Yeah.
But our fraternal programs are so vibrant. There's days that you're spending so much time, and it's very hard to keep that balance, you know, because the reason I think we're so successful and why people take so much pride in us is because of our fraternal programs, which I'm sure we'll get to in more detail later. But for us as executives, it's you know, you're trying to sell insurance and you're trying to you take care of your members that are, you know, having claims and whatnot, but then you also have a group from Dubrovnik coming in and you've got to make sure that you get a concert put together for them. And I think that we really do a good job at trying to keep the ball rolling.
You have to have a balance because we're business first and foremost.
Yeah.
You know, why? What pays for the electric bill and keeps the gas for the heat and pays for the cultural programs that we put forth every year? You have to have profits, and the members were very fortunate, have faith in the Croatian Fraternal Union, and put their hard-earned retirement dollars with us through annuities and IRAs. They buy their life insurance to insure their children, and instead of us having Snoopy and a piece of the rock, we have our culture. And you know, we don't advertise; it's word of mouth. It's member get a member. It's Baba Kazala, if you will. You know.
So let's before we get into that, I do want to get into the kind of the business side of things. I have been learning. So we were joking a little bit before. I'm not a lifelong member, and one other thing I want to bring up. Bernadette, I'm not buying I don't play instruments as well. We actually saw an album downstairs in the record vault. We have a picture of that we're going to share because that's a great album, But
I did that when I was 18 years old. It was a sound on sound,
That's awesome. But so we're going to share that. But I grew up in Steelton. St. Lawrence Lodge was there, belonged to the Croatian church. We did Cola. And we were always in and around St. Lawrence CFU, right? Whether we went to a basketball tournament or we went to one of the parties or festas at the lodge. And never really became fully engaged until recently. And I don't know why. It's kind of weird. Like I was always in and around, but never engaged. And like this whole year has been like an opening, awakening of like what the CFU is. And it's so much more than it's not the basketball tournament. It's not the annual gathering, right? There's so much more that people need to truly understand. And that's why I wanted to come here and be like we got to talk more about this because you take for granted what you think you know that you don't know. And so I really came here it's that Catholic guilt. If you miss Mass, you feel. And so I came here for some dispensation, some Croatian dispensation from you guys.
You're forgiven.
Well, you're clearly better late than never. I mean, you know, we're thrilled that you're willing to put this on your podcast so we could get the word out to more people. Because as I told you earlier when we were joking around, that some people think we're a Croatian club. We're not. We're a huge organization. We have a lot of facets to our organization. We're well respected, you know, throughout Croatia and wherever Croatians reside. And I think people just don't understand everything that we do.
Yeah.
You were exposed to one piece through our very active Lodge 13, St. Lawrence and Stilton. I refer to them as one of the jewels in the CFU crown when I go there for one of their St. Lawrence Day events each year. And I think, your exposure is good and their activities are excellent there. But it reminds me of, you remember young and you hear the story of a blind people that touch an elephant and then you have to describe it, and someone touches the tail, they say, oh, it's like a rope. Someone touches the leg and says, well, elephant's a tree, that kind of thing. You just saw one little piece of the CRO-AM tournament, if you will, which we don't name. That's kind of a name that just popped up because I've heard that many a time. But, I think when you see the whole society for what it is, and what our main need is to have more people understand that like this awakening that is now happening with you, we need to get that out to more people.
So let's tell people, what is the CFU? What is the Croatian Fraternal Union of America?
By statute, by constitution, we're a fraternal benefit society. In a fraternal benefit society, we're licensed in 27 states to sell life insurance and annuities to members. In order to become a member, in order to buy a policy with us, you actually have to be a member first. So you have two applications. You fill a membership app out, and then you have your application for either your life insurance or your annuity product IRA. So as that, we're regulated by state insurance departments wherever we're licensed. Also, the federal government has some oversight, but it's not federally oversight per se like what other companies may be. Fraternal benefit societies, at one time, when her father first came to CFU in '59 as an officer, there was probably 125 fraternal benefit societies as part of the National Fraternal Congress of America. Today, it's now called the American Fraternal Alliance. They changed their name, but there's less than 60. So to give you an idea, a lot of fraternal societies are going by the wayside. They're getting smaller. They're having to merge with other organizations. We've actually had mergers where we've taken in, probably since I came here in 1993, at least 4 mergers with other societies. There was Croatian Catholic Union.
The CCU,
We merged with CCU. We took them under our wing and united Croatians throughout North America, basically, under one banner. But before that, we had a few other organizations that had a Slavic background, and they merged with us, and we were able to assimilate their members into our society and have a stronger society going forward, but always under the Croatian banner, if you will. And then, by being a fraternal benefit society, we are able to provide benefits to our members in addition to only life insurance and annuity products. We're able to do the cultural side. We have a scholarship foundation. Bernadette's the executive secretary of the Scholarship Foundation. I'm the president of the foundation, and we have right now over $9 million in assets, and we freely distribute that based upon applications that are received yearly. We have a board of directors that meets, reviews the apps, the need, the academic standing of the child or the young adult that applied. And we're able to hand out each year conservatively $150,000 to $175,000.
That's fabulous.
Outright grants. Derek Hahn, who's our director of cultural programs, he serves on that board as well. He's has been charged internally to receive the donations and make sure they're listed into our newspaper, make the deposits, and then of course we have accounting staff and controller that do the books. And actually we're not audited, but we do a yearly financial report that we have to supply to the state of Pennsylvania Bureau of Charities. So it's all on the up and up. It's separately incorporated. Some societies have a scholarship foundation where it's under the main company. This is totally separate, so it's divorced from CFU in that respect. Assets are segregated, and it's very important to continue to do that kind of thing, because let anybody who gives money to our foundation, scholarship foundation, can rest assured that money is going to be used for the purpose that it was intended, and we take great pride in that.
And it's usually in memory of, right? There's a
a lot of people
Yes.
set up. We
Yeah.
have funds, so
Over 110 right now, 112.
you know, so for $10,000, $20,000, you could start a fund in memory of someone. Or when we have lodges that, unfortunately, due to declining membership, they have to be merged into other lodges. What they'll do with their treasury is they will set up the lodge that is being merged, a fund in that lodge's name, which will keep it forever. You know, so let's say Lodge 123, you know, has merged. Well, they'll take their treasury and they'll set it up as the Lodge 123 fund. And it
great.
stays forever.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's pretty neat.
It's really a good way to do it.
So they're individual endowments.
Yeah.
We have one general fund, and then there's individual endowment funds. The one Bernadette's talking about is a catch-all lodge fund. When money comes to the CFU, if a lodge is disbanded, the money's supposed to revert back to the Home Office for administrative purpose, rather than us use it to buy paper and pencil for staff. That money's put into our scholarship foundation. It's able to be used for an altruistic purpose.
Yeah. And you got some pretty good rates. If anybody's looking for a good annuity rate,
4.5.
yeah,
For 2
bad,
years.
right?
20, very timely. 24 months to 4.5%. It'll beat the banks and most other societies. It's a good deal.
Yeah, that's the one I jumped in on. I was like,
Glad
it's
to hear
good.
Yeah.
And now the rates are coming in our favor for sure.
Yeah.
So, and we have some other specials with our life insurance. We keep running specials and things to entice people to, you know, either join or to further, you know, invest themselves into CFU.
What we really enjoy is when families enroll their children on like our single premium. For one lump sum, grandparents, great-grandparents, or even parents can enroll their child from birth through 3-4 years old for very nominal amounts of money now you're a member for life with no further payment. It's an ideal way to make sure that the child is enrolled and would be eligible for a scholarship down the line. You'll get 4, 5, 6 times the money that you spend up front for the policy, and you still have the policy. It's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, some great products.
And it allows the child, as the child grows, especially if the parents are active Croatians. I mean, in order to participate in our Junior Tambritsa Festival, the children have to be members. So if they want to participate in any of our sports and any of the other myriad of programs that we have, by buying that policy all through their life, they are
Ensure
eligible.
membership.
You know, they're eligible to participate in everything and receive that scholarship.
Yeah. So let's go into the programs and the lodges. So I know the organization structure a little bit, so help me out with that. There's like lodges and then there's nests.
Because we're a fraternal benefit society, we have to be based on a lodge system. That's part of the way your charters are set up. And then what we do, you know, formed in 1894. So our society was started in 1894 here in the northern shore of Pittsburgh, in Old Allegheny. So, you know, we're now in our 131st year of being a unifying Croat organization. Our original name was Croatian Society, National Croatian Society, NCS. There was a series of mergers in 1926 that Croatian League of Illinois, National Croatian Society, Croatian organization in St. Joseph, Missouri, banded together and became one organized Croatian group called the Croatian Fraternal Union, Hrvatska bratska zajednica. So, you know, we still trace our roots and our origins back to National Croatian Society, the oldest, and it started in Pittsburgh, and lo and behold, that's where our office, our home office, has been all these years. We're now in Monroeville, Wilkins Township, actually, but we also had an office. There's pictures here on the other
I think we got some pics of those.
The whole home office, even in Oakland campus of the University of Pittsburgh. But anyway, because we're under a lodge system, we have lodges and nests. Lodges are for 18 and up, sometimes 16 if you really want to be a lodge member. You can ask to be transferred early, but then our nest system is from age 0 to 18. And the nest was formed in 1919 by Joseph Mladenovic. He was the then president of Croatian Fraternal, National Croatian Society. And his vision was you needed to have a youth organization because the future lies with your youth, right?
Smart.
So he was very, and Mladenovic, President Mladenovic at that time, he was very astute man, smart, as you say. He was a learned individual. He ran a bookstore here in Pittsburgh, but he was a very much a leading Croat of that era, 1894 when we were formed, through his passing, unfortunately, untimely passing. And, being on a lodge system, we have over 200 lodges.
Wow.
And then each lodge has a nest.
Some don't, but mostly for
Most,
90% do.
Yeah, you are good with numbers and dates. That's
Here
pretty
it is.
easy.
30,
But that's the
32 years.
in our structure. That's supposed to be the strength, because within the lodges you'll have, like I said, we have our Four Counties United Lodges. So you have your United Lodges organizations, but this is how. It would be, it's through the activity you've seen in Stilton. That's what keeps people interested and want to be members. So on the local basis, it's very, very important, and we support our local lodges. I mean, they ask for anything. I mean, we'll buy items for Christmas presents for kids. Like we'll do, every year they come and we'll find some, like we call them tchotchkes. If they have a banquet, you get pens, keychains, and they'll tell us what their needs are, because we want them to be active, because really a lot of our membership comes through people who are going to the local Croatian home, we're going to the local parties, and
it's grassroots. That's
it
our
really is,
outreach to Croats, and not only Croats, other individuals who are associated with Croats. You think Croatian Fraternal Union, you have to be a Croat to join? No. Our bylaws were amended maybe 12 years ago at a convention at the suggestion of the insurance department, that we allow basically anyone to join, as long as you subscribe to our ideals and goals and the tenets of our bylaws. And our tenets of the bylaws are to preserve, promote, and perpetuate Croatian heritage and culture. So the way we look at it, if you're Irish, Italian, from Botswana, God knows where, as long as you don't mind the profits going to promote Croatian heritage and culture and our activities, you can become a member of the Croatian Fraternal Union. And that's the way to be. We're in the United States of America. You have to basically be open to all comers. Whoever wants to become a part of your organization, because they, first of all, have faith that when they give you money or they buy life insurance from you, you're going to be able to pay them or their family when it's needed, right? So that's first and foremost. Now after that, it's like, oh, what else are you doing? You have a Tamburitsa festival, you have a sporting program, you have other cultural benefits or social benefits available, financial benefits. So those things all are secondary after honoring your commitment to them through that contract that you issued. And that's why for 131 years, we're still going strong. Even though we're small, we talk to our controller all the time about this. Diamonds are small, right? It's the biggest isn't necessarily the best. And our financials are very much strong and solid. There's ratios that would be too much to get into on a podcast like this, but suffice to say, the state insurance department wants a certain ratio to be 300. Well, CFU's is 1,200. So we're 4 times higher than what the minimum requirement is. And it's similar to like when you look at funding for banks and how much capital they have. We're well funded when it comes to those type of financial metrics.
And we don't take, we're very low risk. I mean, we invest wisely. There are some controls over what we should invest in, but invest smartly. We could be in stocks, but most fraternals are bonds. Because and these ratios go with that. Like, how risky are your investments? Because again, we have to pay on promises.
We're prudent. We don't overpay for business. But when we give you something, you can bank on it, more or less. It's not a bait and switch type program. We don't offer you the sky and we're not able to produce it. We're very much white bread when it comes to things like that. But very easy to understand compared to Universal Life and all these other financial instruments that other commercial companies sell to somebody, and then you get sued later. We won't mention names, but it's widely known the commercial companies that were sued because the agent told them, you buy this, you pay for 10 years, you won't never pay again, and next thing you know, they're having to put all this money in to keep a policy alive. kind of stuff really doesn't
Yeah.
happen at CFU.
Well, you funny you mentioned your agent because you really know your agent because the person in typically the lodge,
Right.
is the one signing you up,
And that's we
right.
call them a volunteer recommender. There's
Okay.
different ways to have a member come through our doors. It could be a direct contact after they see our newspaper or see a program that we're espousing, whether it's an annuity or a life, and they call, and our sales coordinator handles the call, or the office of our vice president as well. That's one way. We have others that are in the field that are our lodge officers or members, and they have a family member or friend, and they recommend that person to us, and we follow up on the recommendation. Or we do have fraternal agents, those people that want to go through the process and be named a fraternal agent in the state of Pennsylvania or some other states. They can do that, and there's limited lines that they can produce. And then we have final professional agent, and we have very few of those. There's a certain line of business that we work on that's a little obscure compared to the standard, that we have professional agents on that line, but our tried and true method is member get a member.
Yeah.
It's the old saying, if you like the product, tell somebody else. If you don't like it, tell me. It's the same idea. If you got a problem, tell one of our executive officers, and then we'll get it straightened out. But if you like what you're getting from us, go tell your friends, because we need that. We need that out in the field.
Yeah, we you mentioned like the giveaways and the CFU, the pens, and all that good stuff. We were at the
Shirt too.
shirt too. Yeah, we actually got something today. We appreciate that. Not that we were looking, but we really.
That's all right. That's all right.
So we were at the Rankin Lodge 6. They were celebrating their 50-year members, and there was a whole table of CFU giveaways, and people really appreciated that. I got a keychain out of that.
you?
We needed
There
an
you
extra
go.
keychain.
Yeah, we'll give you a new pen today too.
Okay, all
We
right.
have a really nice pens.
But it's really nice that, it's always a wonder, is the home office supporting, and you see that, right? You see it through the giveaways, but you also see it through the other ways of support.
And we support. I was just in Cleveland Saturday.
Okay.
We're any lodge that calls and says they're having an event or they're having a banquet or whatever. One of us will be there. We will find a way to get one of us there. Now, Franjo normally goes to this particular event, and he had his meeting in Canada, and Ed had an obligation, and it was like, sure, I'll go. So my husband and I went. People are so appreciative and respectful when we come. It's really something, and I think it does impact people because, yes, I could be home doing laundry, cleaning my house, doing whatever, but I prefer being out and doing something like this.
For the record, when Bernadette mentions Franjo, you're talking to two members of our executive board, president and secretary treasurer, but we also have an executive vice president, Franjo Bernadettes, and his position isn't full-time since the last convention. It's a part-time position, but he's still a valued member of our team.
Absolutely.
So when you see the two of us, there's actually a third member that does join us, and all of the decisions of an executive board are shared by Bernadette, myself, and Franjo. We also have financial incentives back to lodges as well. When we talk about keychains and pens, that's all well and good, but each lodge also gets a stipend per member. So basically, for every member, active member of our lodge, you'll get a 20-cent per month dues is rebated back. And then we also, for percentage of premium that's collected, from a lodge member, that lodge gets 3% back to the lodge per year. So it gets to be some nice money to help pay for a Christmas party or gifts from Santa for the kids, and
Easter
help
egg hunt, whatever,
anything the lodge really deems as they want to spend the money on. We don't have direct oversight on that. The lodge is free to spend it how they want.
And you'll see when you see the Zajednicar, these events, we encourage our lodges. And if you open the Zajednicar, you'll see that, especially Christmas time, Easter time, or picnic time, we advertise the events, and then we also encourage our lodges to send pictures of your 50-year member, and everyone really enjoys it to read the article of what transpired. So
for your viewers, when Bernadette mentions Zajednicar, that's our bi-weekly newspaper, and that's a free member benefit. So we send out probably 25,000 copies right now to our members across the United States, Canada, back into Croatia as well. But it's also available electronically. people now want everything handy. You can read it on your phone.
Or you're old school. If you want paper,
There's
you get
both.
the paper.
We have some people wait for the mailman, and we hear stories all the time why it's late. They tell their mailman, they complain. But
we're going to talk after this why mine's late.
Well, the electronic is
we
good.
can't. The post office, believe me, since COVID, and I've talked to people in other industries, I mean, the mail has really had some issues. Electronic, you know when it's happening. It's not doesn't come to you after the event.
There's a new sheriff in town. We'll see what happens with the post office.
We won't go there.
No,
we won't go there.
You know what I'm talking about. But it's Martin Luther King Day today.
That's right. But it's amazing because you are at a lot of events. We were talking with Derek during his podcast. You guys are everywhere. Franner was at the Rankin Lodge 6 because you were supposed to come, but you couldn't. And we understand that. But you were at St. Lawrence. We were down in Steelton. You guys are everywhere. You were just in Cleveland. When aren't you traveling? Like seriously, that's a serious question. Like you're everywhere.
Pretty much your weekends can be consumed with CFU events. If you're, whether it's local in the tri-state area here, stretching back to Cleveland, or even up to Canada, we probably, used to go to Canada. When I say used to, it's a little less now, but we go to Canada 5-6 times a year. Yeah. COVID had a detrimental effect on that, and it really slowed things down. But you had lodges that held picnics, you had lodges that had banquets, and we were happy to go because we're always happy to go because that shows there's some activity, and it's far be it from us not to support that activity. Other societies, when you go to some of these events that have other leaders from fraternal societies, everybody's a golfer, or they do something, they travel somewhere, and they have all this free time. And first thing when I got to CFU on the executive board, her dad's like, we don't golf. CFU don't. We have a golf tournament.
Golf tournament, right.
Derek can golf and lodges golf, but executives don't golf. I've never golfed as a CFU executive on some kind of junket or something like that. And if you saw me golf, you'd know why. I quit when my son was 10 because he was beating me at golf. So that's a different story. But my point is, our basically time and energy on weekends as well as 5 days here in the office is spent towards CFU. And that's the reason when people apply for jobs here, they don't always realize that. And they think that it's a 9 to 5, and I'll take my 2-week vacation and we'll do this. It's just not the way it is. If you want to be successful, the society to be successful.
And in our case, we have active lodges. My club, we've got rehearsal on Tuesday night, we've got rehearsal on Friday night, bingo on Saturday night, lodge meeting. So even when there's not anything to do on a national level, we're at the Crow Club. Ask Derek. You saw we're that's our home. So it's constant, but it's out of love. It's out of love, and it's out of this obligation. Like I always tell people that we need to perpetuate this. And in my particular case, I always have this feeling that a lot of this is my dad's legacy. And God forbid if and that's why some days when you just don't want to do it and you have to push people alongside you to do it, that's to keep our club active because we're not going to let it go. And
you got 130 years of history in this building. It's a museum on all 3 floors. People don't realize that. And our convention delegates, probably in 2007 maybe, created the name for the museum as the Bernard M Luketich Heritage Culture Museum. And it not only would be the museum 3rd floor, but basically all 3 floors, and that's why that big plaque's down on the 1st floor that is basically one of the largest plaques you'll ever see in testament to Bernard and his contributions to Croatian Fraternal Union first and foremost, but Croatian heritage and culture throughout North America and back to Croatia. I'd have your hair standing if you had
if I had some.
different
Come on.
story.
Come on, we're going to go there.
If I could tell you some stories, that we won't go those stories either about things that were related to me about how Bernard had no fear of promoting Croatian culture in the very dark, difficult times of Yugoslavia. And that was something that most people didn't realize and don't know. But there was always a Croatian in Croatian Fraternal Union, and there was a Croatian leading Croatian Fraternal Union.
He your father Mr. Luketich had a vision for a lot of different things, right? And some of those are the programs that you have today. So let's talk about some of that and some of his vision there as well.
He's the founder, or the grandfather, if you will, of the Junior Cultural Federation. The Junior Cultural Federation is probably one of the most impactful groups that were created by the officers and interested people of the Croatian Fraternal Union back in 1966. There was always these groups that played. Bernadette and her father, they're from Kokeberg, as you know, and they were the Kolo and Tamburitsa group, St. George from Kokeberg, now celebrating
75 years
75 years.
Wow.
But at that time, you had a group in Kokeberg, one in Rank and one in Cleveland, Aliquippa. They weren't connected per se, only through Croatian Fraternal Union, but really not anything that bound them together. So Bernard, along with about 4 or 5 interested people, mostly officers from the Croatian Fraternal Union Home Office, but then also some very active people in the field as well with the junior groups, got together, and there was a series of meetings. And this was in a reason I know it so well. I researched it for a president's column in the Zajednicar. But because someone questioned once, well, wasn't so-and-so more involved at that time? And I had to really, go do the research, because I'm not going to tell you something that's not true. I got a hard time like George Washington. I chopped the cherry tree down. It's me. I did it. But in this case, her father and a select group created Junior Cultural Federation. That's the impetus for so many adult Tamburitsans now that he also had a hand in creating with John Plesh back in 1986-87 that started the Adult Tam Fest. But the Junior Fest, to give back, it's a feeder system for your lodges. It creates enthusiasm and knowledge among children of Croatian culture and heritage and Croatian Fraternal Union. So since 1967, Bernadette was at that one, I believe.
Was it the first one?
I was only 4 years old, and I wasn't a Tamburitsan. I didn't want to say before, but I can't carry a tune even if I'm carrying the box.
Yeah, you and me both. I can't play, sing, don't.
My involvement was going to meetings, and then my father was the trustee who counted all the beer bottles and took care of the books for the business of our lodge in Clareton, and I was with him doing that. So he used to figure out what the inventory was, and then he'd tell me, now you figure it out, and let's see if it's the same. So when you say I know numbers,
love of math.
I did it at a young age.
Yeah.
But I digress, because and Bernadette, as you know, is a great tumbler player. We have so many more that came through those ranks, and that's one of the driving forces again of new people coming in and children becoming involved, and then that led to the Adult Fest. So those are 2 Tamburitsan festivals, and the most recent one was in Croatia. We called it Tambura kroz Generacija, and it was probably the biggest and most impactful one that we've had to date.
40 groups.
Yeah, that was impressive.
Derek On was the guest conductor. They had so many people on Lisinski's stage, we can't tell you your audience how many, because the fire marshal would write us a letter now about it. So we were able to get everybody we needed on stage, and it was a wonderful event. And not only that, Bernadette made a comment earlier in passing about interactions with Croatian government officials. When we go to Croatia, CFU is so widely acclaimed by the Croatian government. And it doesn't matter if it's the current prime minister or his predecessor of a different party, or the current president or his predecessor. I mean, we go back to father of Croatia, Franjo Tuđman, who was a friend of Bernard Luketich. Bernard went to see him when he was still, I believe, in prison, when he was imprisoned by the communist government in Croatia or in Yugoslavia. So there's a history there that most people don't know. And when President Tuđman would come to the United States, before he was president, he'd come and want to meet with Bernard Luketich, and they would talk. And there's such a history, and I have a picture with President Tuđman, myself, President Luketich, and Mir Zuzul, my Imochan from Imotski as well, who was not prime minister, but he was the ambassador at the Croatian Embassy. And that's a prized possession of mine from 1994 at a dinner that was hosted. But when I talk about the Croatian government and their knowledge of CFU and what we're able to do as an organization of Croats outside of Croatia, unifying Croats and really trying to speak with one voice to our government here through interactions and creation of NFCA and things like that. Prime Minister Plenković was our guest in September of 2022. He flew here from New York with his entourage. He was supposed to be here like 2 hours. He stayed for 5, maybe
6. Yeah, we
they
were
serenaded him out the door. The Secret Service were pulling their hair out because it was.
We gotta get you out.
Yeah, well, they were worried about security, and they're telling Bernadette, everybody has to stop at the door. You can't go out with the president. There was 50 of our people went out with the president. He didn't want to leave. When he said, I guess you have to go. He says, why? We said, well, your guide said you have to leave. He said, what? Why can't I stay? So that just happened at our Tambora Cross Festival. He was our guest speaker on Saturday, and we had a full house. And his remarks were, "I've never seen Lisinski all this full." That's that's important. He's seeing the people that come out for Croatian Fraternal Union, the 1,900 people that came from the United States and Canada to Croatia for this event that we promoted. And through cooperation of his and the Office of the President, President Milanovic, to be fair, President Milanovic had us as his guest. There was our officers of our board of directors met with the president on a Thursday afternoon. He was very gracious with his time. We took pictures, and he actually had one of his representatives attend our opening ceremonies. So we had opening ceremony, the president's office. We had the second day, the prime minister himself. We had Bishop Zajednicar, a great friend of the Croatian Fraternal Union, who was in Canada for some time as a priest up there. He's back in Croatia, and again, a great friend of ours. It was the person who said, the priest who said mass, and we're very pleased that we had so many people. We had a great mass in Dubrava at church on Sunday. What an outpouring of people once again in an unair-conditioned church, by the way.
The only way is the Croatian way.
Oh, my goodness.
You're gonna get sick if you have
AC, you get the croup or propo, what do you call it? But it was great. The ambassador came, Natalie Reyes, who's now going to be former ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Croatia. But she was at the mass, and then she actually hosted a group of us at her embassy, the new embassy by the airport. And what a fantastic lady she was.
And you know, besides the cultural programs, you have consular days, so you stay in touch in different ways with the embassies, Croatian Embassy.
We also support them in EU days. Since the EU, we became part of the EU. In Washington, D.C., the second or third weekend in May on a Saturday, what they do is all the EU embassies open their doors to the public. And that's a time when each embassy could introduce their country. It's a really good tourism thing, but people have passports, and you go from embassy to embassy. And then they vote, too. And Croatia always is top of the line. We go every year. We take a tumbler band, my sister, my brother-in-law Danny, Derek's brother Marco. We go down, we play outside the embassy, and it just brings droves of people. And we provide because we have original national costumes. We dress their whole staff up in costumes, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's an all-day commitment for us, but that's how we support. We're very good friendships with them, and we'll support them anytime they call upon us to get down there. We do, and we've had really good relationship.
Yeah, the current ambassador, Ambassador Shimunovic, is really well versed in the Croatian Fraternal Union, what we're all about in terms of promoting Croatian culture and heritage, as well as having a voice to Croatian-American people, even back to Croatia itself. And he's been ambassador now for going on 6 years, I believe. Even before him, with the ambassador, Josip Paro, great guy as well. Really, our organization has had contact back to the first ambassador that I recall was Ambassador Sarcevic. He was one of the first ones that was stationed in Washington, D.C., and then after him, it was a succession of ambassadors that our society has always had the most cordial relations to.
Yeah.
Some a little closer than others due to activities or their time schedule or what they're interested in, but we've always been welcome at the embassy, whether it's for EU days, as Bernard said, but they have receptions throughout the year, have guests from Croatia that come, and we have them attend our events as well. The ambassador has come to many TAM Fests, he's come to our convention. We were very pleased to have Gordon Gerlich-Rodman, Minister Rodman, come to 2 conventions in a row now of ours in 2019 and 2023. He's another individual who's well versed in our society and our role in the diaspora.
Yeah, excellent. So the last piece of your father's vision, Mr. Luketich's vision, was this, where we're sitting at, right? The museum. So let's talk a little bit about that. You have a wonderful showcase of anything and everything that we're looking at, boots, costumes, but there's instruments, there's the old print press from the original. I mean, let's talk a little bit about.
And we have the flags and all these other certificates. You know, my mother, she would always think that my dad was a pack rat. You know, I mean, he saved everything, and this is what the result is.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a long time that there was no place to put this stuff until the what year?
Expansion.
90.
The building was remodeled in 1980.
Okay.
So it was built in 1960. We're actually, this was like a lunchroom on the 3rd floor.
Oh.
So when they remodeled it again in 80, they took away the printing press where the paper was downstairs. They made that a boardroom. This was a boardroom on the 3rd floor as well. So there was a lot of changes, and because there was no longer a Z that was printed in this particular facility, it was sent out after that, then that opened up some space. And then that's where this 3rd floor museum basically appeared at that point in time in 1980, give or take, like a year or 2 as a transition. Yeah. You're looking at, you know, the badges in front of you. These are awesome. From different lodges, and you know, the red, white, and blue would be in an event. The reverse of it is black, usually for a funeral. So these are pieces of history that are donated when somebody cleans out mom or dad's, grandpa's old cupboard, and they find this, rather than throw it into the garbage, thankfully they'll call the office and say, hey, we found this, are you interested? We never turn anything down.
No, we say bring it and let us
we'll
assess.
Make the decision.
Same thing with records. We are overrun with records. And some of these recordings, we just had some archivists and staff from the Croatian National Library who were here. And one did books, one did publications, one did records. And like Derek, we always send the call to Derek, and then he'll just say, bring it, don't throw anything away, just bring it. And that's exactly what we do. And right now we're going through, you know, getting rid of doubles, and we're actually getting into a digitization project with all of, you know, the records, and we're going to have to do it with our books. We've got some very rare books. But bring it, don't throw it away. If it looks Croatian, let us make that assessment.
It's
and that's how we've accumulated all
this.
One
thing we didn't touch on, it under one roof, it's probably more eclectic or more diverse. There is no more diverse collection of instruments around us or costumes. But the one thing that we didn't talk about is fine art as well. We have oil on glass from Lackovic, from Generalic, father and son, Pfister, Sugovcin. We have line art from Lovric, I believe it was, and also Veza, my guy from Brela, I can't forget him. But this location, the Croatian Fraternal Union, has probably more not line art, but the Croatian naive art on display than anywhere outside of a museum in Zagreb dedicated solely for that.
And so, you know, we were here for the Croatian-American Sports Hall of Fame. This is the first time I got to see it. It was like amazing. And we were walking with John Mayasich from Minnesota, and he got to see one of his the banners from Eveleth, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And they got so excited about that, right? And that's what you want, right? You want people, and so like,
It's a
how do people?
touchstone.
How do people? Do they have to call? Can they just pop in? What's the process for them to come see the museum?
Our doors are always open.
okay.
I mean, if we know someone's coming, we could make sure that someone is available for a tour,
Yeah.
because we've got a number of staff members who are very well versed in everything, and they'll take them on tour in both English or Croatian language. So
Somebody
if,
can come, 9 to 5,
9 to
Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
On Friday, employees get to go home a little early.
Yeah.
We actually close at 12:30. But our house is open. It's not our place; it's our members' place,
Yeah.
and it is open to the general public as well. We've had groups from different schools to show up,
Nice.
world culture
Yeah.
class, and they'll see some Croatian history. We've done that on a regular basis for a number of years with a local school here. And again, most people don't realize the home office of the CFU has such a wonderful grouping and diverse collection of Croatian artifacts. They think, as we alluded to earlier, we're just a little mom and pop, store on a corner, and that's not what we are.
Yeah. Well, you drive by and it's like, oh, that's a CFU home office, and it's so much more.
oh yeah,
It's like full
yeah.
circle where we started from, right? If you just stop in, you'll see what it's all about, and it's hats off to everybody that's come through the doors, and through trustees, through what you're doing as officers. It's just amazing. The 132 years of culture, history, and just business stamina, right?
It's a large responsibility we have.
Huge.
Look, we're on the shoulders of those who came before us, just like even Mr. Luketich was on the shoulders of those who came before him.
Yeah.
He might have extended and made it so much better, but still you had our original, benefactors, incorporators back in 1894. And, Zdravko Muzina is the one that came from Chicago with the idea of joining Croats in the United States together under one banner.
Yeah.
And he was really the driving force to have a National Croatian Society, and he didn't end up being president. That's the funny thing. But Muzina was a great guy, and he had the vision as well. One thing people aren't aware of, though, the organizers of the CFU also organized the first Croatian Catholic Church in North America, St. Nicholas.
St. Nicholas, yeah.
So the mother church of all Croatian churches in North America, St. Nicholas, had the same incorporators, organizers as the Croatian Fraternal Union.
same date,
That's
1984.
When you hear
1894,
Pavlinac and Lubitsch and those names from the CFU past, many of those also are part of the original founders of the church, including Mladić as well.
And they are celebrating, I think, this year 125th anniversary of the current church. Is
Yes,
that right?
there's an anniversary, yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to be part of that. We've been
June,
contacted.
I think June, right?
I believe so. They're doing a program book, and they're having a banquet, luncheon,
Yeah.
a mass with the bishop.
Yeah. And they have some great murals in there too, some great artwork.
Vanka's murals, yeah. And
Yeah.
now that, of course, that's not the original on St.
Right.
St.
Right.
Nicholas on the north side. That's one that was founded a few years later. As by the 125th, you'll know what their anniversary year started. But they're also a very important piece of the Croatian history in Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah. And if we're all about connections, right? That's in our namesake, CRO-AM Connections. It's all about finding these connections. It's just funny. Every place we go, we find a connection. And I think that's really what the CFU is about, is over the many, many decades, you guys have made connections, continue to make connections for the good of Croatian-American people and beyond. So thank you. This was amazing. You guys are busy. I appreciate every minute you gave us today. It was exciting to be here to film. We're going to do a little bit of filming of the museum so we can share some of that with our
Please
viewers.
do.
And just appreciate your time today and everything.
Well, we
covered,
appreciate your
so.
willingness to do this, and obviously we'll share it on our Facebook page, on our website, so that we hope that people learn a little bit more about us.
Hopefully you like it. Well,
It'll be fun. Congratulations on what you do as
Yeah,
well.
we really appreciate
You're
it.
reaching out and talking to Croats, and that's always good. Sharing information, talking about good organizations, good people. Croats are everywhere in the United States, and it's, you hear about the famous ones, but there's also those that just go to work and take care of their family, and they're the bread and butter of the United States and our way of life. But we're very proud, of course, when you hear so-and-so's Croat and on his mother's side, once removed, you try to figure it out. Everybody doesn't have an ICH on the end of their name like Bernadette. Everyone thought I was Italian when I first became Secretary Treasurer.
You kind of look.
Her father got a call from an old Croatian lady. Says, Bernadette, what's the matter? You got Italian man for, look, my leg's hurting, I'm talking about this. What's the matter? You have Italian man for Secretary Treasurer, Croatian Fraternal. He said, Mary, on your Pazo, what's the matter? Ti dobro znaš njegov otac. She said, on je od otac od Pazo. Oh, okay, he's okay.
You're good.
I'm all right now. So it's P-Easio in the old country. So there's a little difference
A little
there.
bit, a little bit. No,
I'm not Italian for anybody who wants to know. Nothing wrong with Italian. I like spaghetti, I
Love
like
'em
hot
all.
sauce. And there are brothers across the sea, Adriatic.
But I don't think there's another nationality that can stand up to what the CFU is and all that it does in America that I'm aware of. Or I mean, is there
As an organization?
as an organization where you have a business model, you have
We're
the cultural
unparalleled.
side. Yeah,
I can say that with a straight face, unparalleled, because there's others that are bigger than us and have more money than us.
Yeah.
And I won't mention them, but they're there. And one of them had a hand in forming us, helping us in the very early days. But when it comes to culture and heritage and what we do to promote it, second to none.
Yeah.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
And that's due to the people. We have people buy in, our members buy in, they're proud of being Croats.
Yeah.
And Croatian people are so, I mean, even if you see our humanitarian appeals, I mean, it's amazing. Our people just come out of the woodwork to help other people. Right now we have a
one for
fund for the
wildfires in LA.
fires.
Yeah, I saw that.
When we had the earthquakes in Croatia, everything, the war, we can't even begin in the 90s. So it's deep with us, and it's deep with our people. And we're proud, and we're committed to keep it going the way it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully expand. We hope that, we believe every Croatian, anyone of Croatian descent should be a member of the Croatian Fraternal Union, bar none. And people...
You got one. So.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, people say they get their insurance through work, whatever, but you know what? We have a product or a savings, something to make you a member, then you could be engaged in everything that we do, and it's really worthwhile.
There's supposed to be over 2 million Croats in the United States, one way or another, through marriage, through third, fourth generation removed. The thing that not hurts, but I chuckle when someone says, "Oh, well, my grandfather was Croatian." It's your grandfather. That means you're Croatian, right? So where's the disconnect there? How aren't you? I mean, we just found out the Kelsey brothers are Croatian.
Yeah, I know. We've been watching that one.
Yeah,
we got to get a hold of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll see about it. There's other football-related people, too. So.
One is a member. David Deal's a member.
Really?
Yeah. He's a member.
So he has that big Croat tattoo. He should have a CFU tattoo.
We got to work on
Derek, that's Derek's job. We're going to send Derek out.
Slacking to Derek.
Bill Belichick's next. He's on our list.
Yeah.
We've already reached out. We've had great conversation via a written word with him, and we congratulate and wish him well.
Yeah.
North Carolina, go blue now, right?
That's right. We're all Tar Heels. Carolina blue. Okay, we're going to wrap. I could keep you guys here.
I know
We're going to wrap up. This has been fantastic. So we just want to say thank you all, Point of Follow, for all our CRO-AM followers for joining us, tuning in. Check out the CFU website. Check out everything they do. It's a great organization. Also, the Filthy 46 Productions, always helping us out with our editing and production expertise. So until next time, Živeli Hrvati, veliki poz I Bog.
Doviđenja.
Hvala.
Catch our next episode where we have the opportunity to showcase the Bernard M Luketich Croatian Cultural Museum at the home office of the Croatian Fraternal Union of America in Pittsburgh, PA. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and other podcast platforms, along with watching us on our YouTube channel or following us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks and appreciation to Ed Pazo and Bernadette Luketich-Sikaras for being our guest, Filthy 46 Productions, and as always, our CRO-AM follower.
Follow.